If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge. And when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the podcast. The Mission Concealed, Knights Templar's Secret Quest in Jerusalem. The year 1119 brought more than just another group of knights to Jerusalem. 9 men stood before King Baldwin II, their faces marked by something deeper than simple devotion. They spoke of protecting pilgrims on dangerous roads, but their eyes held secrets that would echo through centuries. Hugh de Payens led this small band. His voice carried conviction when he explained their mission to guard travelers. Yet something felt different about these knights. They asked for quarters beneath the Temple Mount itself, not near it, not around it, beneath it. Baldwin II granted their strange request without question. This alone should make us pause. Kings rarely give away such sacred ground so easily. The Temple Mount held the ruins of Solomon's great temple. Jewish tradition spoke of wisdom buried deep in its foundations. Christian pilgrims believed holy relics lay hidden there. The 9 knights moved into their underground chambers with unusual haste. They brought tools that seemed wrong for simple guards: shovels, ropes, torches that burned longer than normal. Their servants whispered of strange sounds echoing from below at night. For 9 long years, these knights barely left their underground home. Records show they recruited no new members during this time. They protected no pilgrims. Instead, they dug. They searched. They found things that would change everything. Ancient texts from that period mention discoveries beneath the Temple Mount. Strange objects that didn't belong to any known civilization. Writings in languages older than Hebrew or Greek. Some chroniclers whispered about technology that defied explanation. The knights grew wealthy during these years, though they claimed vows of poverty. Gold flowed to them from mysterious sources. Their influence spread across Europe without any clear reason. Something they found down there had opened doors to power beyond imagination. Local Arabs told stories their grandfathers had shared. They spoke of a civilization that sank beneath the waves long ago, a place called Atlantis, where knowledge surpassed anything the world had ever known. Some of that wisdom, they claimed, had been saved and hidden beneath Jerusalem's most holy site. The knights' behavior changed after their years underground. They spoke in coded phrases. They built churches with unusual symbols. Their architecture contained mathematical secrets that scholars still study today. When they finally emerged, the poor fellow soldiers of Christ had become something else entirely. They possessed knowledge that would make them the most powerful organization in medieval Europe. But questions lingered about what they had truly found in those dark chambers beneath the Temple Mount. The ancient world still called to them from the depths. The unearthing of hidden artifacts, discoveries beneath Solomon's temple. The sound of metal scraping stone echoed through the darkness. For 9 long years, the Knights Templar had made their home in the most sacred place in Jerusalem. While other crusaders fought battles across the Holy Land, these 9 men chose a different path. They claimed to protect pilgrims, but their real work happened far below ground. Bernard de Clairvaux, the powerful church leader who helped create their order, knew something the world did not. Ancient texts spoke of treasures buried beneath Solomon's temple, not just gold or silver, but objects that held power beyond imagination. The knights had come to find them. Night after night, they descended into tunnels that snaked deep under the Temple Mount. Their torches cast dancing shadows on walls that had stood for thousands of years. They dug through layers of history, each shovel full of dirt bringing them closer to their goal. What they found changed everything. Contemporary chronicles hint at discoveries that left even these battle-hardened warriors speechless. Objects wrapped in cloth so old it crumbled at their touch. Golden artifacts covered in symbols no one could read. And somewhere in those dark chambers, according to whispered accounts, they found the most sacred relic of all, the Ark of the Covenant. This golden chest, described in biblical texts as containing the stone tablets of Moses, had vanished from history centuries before. Some scholars believe King Solomon hid it when enemies threatened Jerusalem. Others suggest it was moved to protect it from invaders. The Knights may have solved one of history's greatest mysteries, but the Ark was not alone. Medieval chroniclers describe other objects, strange and beautiful, that seemed to come from a civilization lost to time. Crystals that caught light in impossible ways. Stone tablets covered in writing that looked like no known language. Metal objects crafted with techniques that should not have existed. These discoveries raised troubling questions. How could such advanced artifacts exist in Solomon's era? Where did they come from? Some whispered of connections to the legendary Atlantis, that lost civilization Plato described as possessing incredible knowledge. The Knights kept their secrets well. They grew wealthy with mysterious speed, building castles and churches across Europe. Their sudden power attracted attention. Kings and popes began asking uncomfortable questions about the source of their influence. But the damage was done. Whatever they found beneath that ancient temple had given them knowledge that would reshape the medieval world. The question that haunts historians today remains simple yet profound. What exactly did they discover in those shadowy depths? And where did those ancient treasures ultimately go? Clash of powers, rival groups, and the struggle for control of Atlantean knowledge. The Holy Land burned with more than desert heat. In the shadow of ancient temples and forgotten ruins, three great faiths circled each other like wolves. Each group knew something precious lay hidden beneath the stones. Each watched the others with growing suspicion. The Knights Templar walked carefully through this web of danger. Their white cloaks marked them as targets. Their secret missions made them enemies. Behind every prayer, behind every friendly greeting, lay the sharp edge of competition. Christian orders fought among themselves first. The Hospitallers wore black crosses and claimed equal right to any treasures found. They whispered that the Templars grew too proud, too rich, too secretive. When Templar knights returned from mysterious journeys carrying locked chests, the Hospitallers demanded answers. None came. Jewish scholars moved through the markets and libraries like ghosts. They spoke in hushed voices about old writings, about maps drawn before Rome fell. Some claimed their ancestors had hidden sacred objects when the temple burned. Now they searched for what their forefathers had saved. Their knowledge of ancient languages made them valuable allies or dangerous rivals. The Muslim leaders posed the greatest threat. Saladin himself had heard the rumors. Strange artifacts that could command armies. Ancient wisdom that could topple kingdoms. His spies reported Templar expeditions to places that appeared on no maps. His soldiers found camps abandoned in haste, with symbols carved in stone that matched no known language. Every group claimed they sought objects for holy purposes. Christians said they hunted relics of saints. Jews searched for treasures from Solomon's temple. Muslims spoke of protecting sacred sites from foreign thieves, but all three faiths shared the same burning question. What had the Templars really found? The competition grew deadly. Merchants who sold supplies to Templar expeditions disappeared. Guides who led them to remote sites never returned home. Local villagers learned to look away when the white-cloaked knights passed. Silence became the price of survival. The Templars adapted. They developed new codes, new signals, new ways to hide their movements. Messages traveled in ways no enemy could trace. Gold moved through channels that left no records. The more dangerous their situation became, the deeper their secrets grew. This deadly game transformed the Templars from warrior monks into something else entirely. They became masters of shadows, experts in deception. Their quest for ancient artifacts had forced them to become as mysterious as the objects they sought. The Holy Land had become a chessboard where every move could mean death, and the Templars were running out of safe squares to occupy. The downfall, arrest, torture, and dissolution of the Knights Templar. The morning of October 13th, 1307, began like any other. Knights Templar across France woke to their daily prayers. They had no idea their world would end before sunset. King Philip IV had planned this day for months. His spies had watched every Templar house. His soldiers knew their targets. At dawn, they struck everywhere at once. Within hours, hundreds of knights found themselves in chains. The charges sounded impossible. These holy warriors who had fought for Christ now faced accusations of devil worship. Court documents claimed they spat on crosses during secret ceremonies. Witnesses swore the knights kissed each other in unholy ways. Stories spread of a mysterious head they worshipped in darkness. But those who knew Philip understood the real reason. The king owed the Templars more gold than his kingdom could ever repay. Their vast wealth made them dangerous. Their loyalty to the Pope, not to him, made them enemies. In dungeon cells, the torture began. Iron tools heated until they glowed. Bones cracked under pressure. Men screamed until their voices gave out. Under such pain, many knights confessed to anything their captors demanded. They signed papers admitting to crimes they never committed. Jacques de Molay, the Grand Master, held out longer than most. This proud leader had commanded thousands of knights. Now he lay broken on stone floors, his body twisted by torture. Finally, even he confessed. The king had won. Or so it seemed. Pope Clement V found himself caught between his duty to God and his fear of Philip. The king's threats were clear. Support the trials or face consequences. The Pope chose survival over justice. In 1312, he signed the order that ended the Templars forever. Yet whispers followed the trials. Had the knights really hidden something worth killing for? Some believed they possessed ancient maps. Others spoke of golden artifacts from lost civilizations. Could their secret knowledge have included proof of Atlantis itself? On March 18, 1314, Jacques de Molay faced his final moment. Tied to a stake as flames licked around him, he shocked everyone present. He withdrew his confession. Every word had been a lie, forced by torture. He died declaring his innocence and the order's honor. As smoke rose from his pyre, surviving Templars scattered across Europe. Some joined other orders. Others disappeared completely. Whatever secrets they carried vanished with them into history's shadows. The trial records remain, filled with confessions extracted through pain. But questions linger in every yellowed page. What truths died with those brave knights? What mysteries burned with their bodies? The answers may be lost forever. Hidden truths revealed. Vatican documents and the Templars' exoneration. The morning of September 12, 2001, changed many things in our world. But in the quiet halls of the Vatican's secret archives, something else remarkable happened that day. A young Italian scholar named Barbara Frail was carefully examining dusty parchments when her hands began to shake. She had found something that would turn 700 years of history upside down. The document before her looked ordinary enough. Old ink on aged parchment, written in careful Latin script. But as she read the words, her eyes grew wide. This was the Chinon parchment, and it told a story no one had heard before. Pope Clement V had secretly forgiven the Knights Templar. For centuries, people believed the Templars were guilty of terrible crimes. They thought the Pope had condemned them as heretics. But this hidden document revealed the truth. The Pope had quietly cleared their names just months after their arrest in 1307. Why had this stayed secret for so long? The answer lies in the dangerous politics of medieval Europe. King Philip IV of France owed the Templars enormous amounts of money. The royal treasury was nearly empty, and Philip desperately needed their wealth. But how could he simply steal from the most powerful religious military order in Europe? He needed a reason that would satisfy both his people and the church, so he created one. Philip's men arrested every Templar in France on Friday the 13th. They tortured knights until they confessed to lies. They spread rumors of dark rituals and betrayals of Christ. The propaganda worked so well that people still believe these stories today. But the Pope knew better. Behind closed doors, away from Philip's spies and threats, Clement V investigated the truth. He discovered that the confessions were false. The Templars had been faithful servants of the Church all along. The Chinon parchment proves this secret absolution happened. Yet Clement V never announced it publicly. He was trapped between powerful French pressure and political survival. So he kept quiet, letting history believe a lie. More documents emerged in the following years. Vatican archivists slowly released materials that painted a clearer picture. Each new revelation showed the same pattern. Financial greed and political ambition had destroyed the Templars, not religious corruption. What secrets did the Templars actually protect? The Vatican papers remain silent on this question, but they make one thing crystal clear. Whatever mysteries the Knights Templar carried to their graves, they were not the heretics history claimed them to be. The truth had been waiting in the shadows for 7 centuries, patient as stone. Legacy and legends, post-Templar searches and theories on Atlantis. The Templars were gone, but their story was just beginning. When the last knight vanished into shadow, whispers spread like wildfire across Europe. People spoke in hushed tones about secret treasures and hidden maps. They wondered where all that knowledge had gone. In dusty libraries of Renaissance Italy, scholars bent over ancient texts. They read Plato's words about Atlantis with fresh eyes. Could there be a connection? Some believed the Templars had found something big. These learned men drew maps with question marks. They traced possible routes across unknown seas. The rumors grew stronger with each passing year. Secret groups formed in dark meeting rooms. They wore special symbols and spoke in code. The Freemasons took the Templar cross as their own. They claimed to guard the same secrets. Other societies followed, each one promising to reveal the truth. Expeditions set sail with royal backing. Kings wanted to find what the Templars had hidden. Ships headed towards Scotland's misty islands. Others crossed the Atlantic to strange new lands. The captains carried old stories and newer dreams. But something curious happened. Each search created more questions than answers. Every clue led to another mystery. The harder people looked, the more the truth seemed to slip away. Modern times brought fresh hunters. Writers filled bookstore shelves with bold claims. Television crews followed treasure maps to empty caves. Computer programs analyzed satellite images of ocean floors. The internet buzzed with theories about Templar survivors in America. Some pointed to stone carvings in Nova Scotia. Others studied strange towers in New England. A few claimed Scottish castles held the real secrets. Each theory sounded convincing until you looked closer. The facts tell a different story. Historians find little solid proof of Templar voyages to distant lands. Archaeological evidence remains thin. Most connections between the Knights and Atlantis exist only in imagination. Yet the search continues. New books appear each year. Documentary crews pack their cameras for remote locations. Online forums debate fresh possibilities with passionate energy. Why does this story refuse to die? Perhaps because it speaks to something deeper. The idea that ancient wisdom waits somewhere, hidden but not lost. That brave knights once sailed beyond the edge of known maps. That somewhere in the vast ocean, truth sleeps beneath the waves. The Templars may not have found Atlantis, but their legend created something almost as powerful. A mystery that keeps calling to us across the centuries. A question that demands an answer, even when no answer exists. The mystical and the mythical, the Knights Templar, Atlantis, and extraterrestrial connections. Something strange happened to the Templar story in the 1800s. The knights who once guarded pilgrims suddenly became something much bigger in people's minds. Victorian writers sat in their dusty libraries, surrounded by ancient books and wild ideas. They read about Plato's lost city. They studied biblical texts. They wondered about civilizations that might have existed before recorded history. Then they began to weave these threads together in ways no medieval chronicler ever imagined. The Theosophical Society emerged during this time, led by mystics who claimed to receive wisdom from hidden masters. They spoke of Atlantis not as Plato's simple tale, but as a real place where advanced beings once lived. These writers suggested that ancient knowledge survived the Great Flood, passed down through secret groups across the centuries. Who better to carry such secrets than the mysterious Templars? Helena Blavatsky and her followers painted pictures with words. They described crystal technologies and flying machines in the distant past. They claimed the Templars discovered proof of these lost civilizations beneath Temple Mount. The knights became keepers of cosmic truth rather than simple soldiers of Christ. As the decades passed, the stories grew stranger still. Writers in the 1900s began to whisper about visitors from other worlds. Perhaps the Templars found evidence that beings from distant stars had once walked among humans. Maybe the advanced knowledge of Atlantis came from these celestial teachers. Books appeared with titles that promised revelation. Authors claimed the Templars possessed artifacts that proved Earth had been visited long ago. Some suggested the Holy Grail was actually alien technology. Others proposed that the Knights' geometric symbols contained star maps or instructions from otherworldly guides. These ideas spread like wildfire through popular culture. Hollywood embraced the mystery. Television producers created shows that mixed historical footage with dramatic reenactments of impossible meetings between medieval knights and beings from space. The line between history and fantasy became harder to see. Serious scholars found themselves competing with storytellers who offered more exciting explanations for ancient mysteries. Today, the Templar Atlantis alien connection lives on in countless books, movies, and internet theories. Each generation adds new layers to the legend. What began as Victorian curiosity about lost civilizations has become a modern myth that refuses to die. Academic historians shake their heads at the lack of evidence. But the story persists because it answers a deeper human need to believe that our past holds greater wonders than we can imagine.